Yeah, so essentially my project was a thing I did through the Girl Scouts of Northern California. It was called Project Safe Streets, and it was like this effort to kind of improve crossing safety in Fremont. And it initially like started when I was crossing a street, I believe like a year or so ago, and I had this like really close encounter with a car, and I like almost got hurt. So that's when I was kind of like propelled into action because I realized that like a lot of other students may also be facing this difficulty where their lives are being put in danger because of cars that are driving recklessly in the morning hours and after school.
Yeah, that makes
So essentially what I did is I reached out to the Fremont so I reached out to the Fremont Police Department and the Public Works Department at my city. And I kind of talked to them about this problem and I proposed a solution in which we educated our schools more about the perils of crossing safely and also how to kind of maximize your safety when you're coming to school and going back. Because I know this isn't something that's like explicitly taught in a course in elementary school or even like in middle school. And with the current like era, like teenagers and even like younger kids are becoming like more and more reckless with their jaywalking and just crossing without looking in that ballpark. So what I proposed was a series of like crossing flags that would be installed at all of the elementary schools in the city of Fremont in order for students to be able. And after that, what I did was because the city was not able to entirely fund this project, I had to find my own partners to kind of maintain these flags, pay for these flags, and take vandalized. So I initially reached out to a couple of businesses, and afterwards I reached out to school PTAs, which are parent teacher associations that kind of oversee the liaison between the students, the teachers, and um, students like me who want to kind of improve their society. So I kind of met with all of the PTA presidents in the district, specifically for elementary schools, and I proposed my Project Safe Streets plan, which was, and I kind of like before I did all of this, I had like detailed sheets of my budget, what exactly I was asking from these PTA donors, and what my aim really was with this project, which was initially to increase education, and it later became to increase, safety while students are crossing these high risk streets. So after the PTAs, I had about 5 PTAs that were really enthusiastic about this project and wanted to move forward. So over like a variety of crossings in the city of Fremont, including a couple inside Target, which is in Fremont Hub, I installed containers, such as the ones you might have heard of, like in bigger states like Chicago, um, which would like hold the crossing flags that pedestrians could use to kind of maximize their visibility when they're crossing during like high risk hours, such as the morning or the afternoon. And essentially, the second part of my project was to educate the students of public schools about how to cross safely. And to do this, I created a website. I created a variety of displayed I displayed those at assembly sets, and I sent these out, all these resources out through like Facebook pages and a variety of that kind of impact. And it was recognized both by the City of Fremont Public Works Department, the Fremont Police Department, as well as the Girl Scouts of California for my efforts, because that was kind of overlooked a lot of the times because of the rush in the morning to get to school on time, to get to work on time. People weren't really noticing how how they were putting the lives of like pedestrians, especially student pedestrians, in danger. So I took that issue and I was able to kind of solve it by implementing a new type of mechanism that's now widely known as Project Safe Streets. And the PTAs are like able to replace all of the orange flags that I have started and kind of just like replenish those and maintain those. So essentially, the Girl Scouts did award me with the Gold Award, which is the highest honor a Girl Scout can receive. So that kind of just sums up my project superficially and like what I did. I think definitely the most enjoyable part of Project Safe Streets was reaching out to the schools to plan the presentations. So honestly, I'm like a big fan of public speaking and talks. So so all of the high schools where I initiated this project. And one of the most enjoyable parts for me was kind of planning out the presentations and what curriculum I would be covering in those, as well as activities to make learning about crossing safety more enjoyable and um, less intimidating. So for me, that was one of the biggest highlights of my project. And I also had a team with me that kind of like helped me oversee the kids because there were a large amount of kids that were attending these presentations, up to 50. So it was a challenge, but at the same time, I think I was able to effectively um, oversee this presentation process and kind of make the best out of it while increasing our community's knowledge, especially for elementary school students on how to properly walk on the streets and cross. So for me, one of the most personal factors was my encounter in like early summer last year when I was crossing the street to get to school and I was almost hit by a car because it was like a very rushed atmosphere. And although I was crossing at the correct place, the car driver was just driving very recklessly because, you know, as you know, it's like the morning hours and everyone's trying to get to work on time. So for me, Project Safe Streets has had a personal impact on me by kind of showing me that I can take an issue, start it from the beginning, and kind of follow through with it while changing my society. So for me, one part that I definitely developed of my personality over this project was my planning skills. For instance, I had to create 10 to 12 budgets for the PTAs to kind of look through and approve. And through that through that process of creating the budgets, researching the different types of materials that I would need for the crossing flags and the crossing containers, kind of taking all of that from a page on the web and then putting it down into a data spreadsheet and being able to keep that organized in a way that school PTAs are able to read through and understand was one of the parts that helps me personally develop my organizational skills while developing also my planning skills, because not only was I able to kind of think ahead about what the school PTAs may like and what the school PTAs may think of as a concern in terms of budgets, but I was also able to um, use like different tools, for instance, Excel and Google Sheets, and discover features that I didn't know of before. And essentially, this whole process of kind of crafting these budgets helped me develop my skills in terms of technology, as well as uh, planning and budgeting. And then just going quickly, being I was talking about in the beginning, so I learned that the experience that I had wouldn't be happening to anyone else, hopefully, in the city because of a project that I implemented. So another aspect of this uh, of the personal development that I had due to this project was definitely the sense of direct impact on my community, and that this like whole pedestrian safety car rushing thing would be minimized due to my efforts. Yeah, so I think I've always been really passionate about um, kind of like health, but not necessarily health in the way that you would think about it. So I'm more passionate about being safe, being healthy, and being able to be happy. And I think that was really reflected in my project because it kind of focused on being able to be confident wherever you're crossing and being able to be smart in making decisions. So I think the idea of me really being has been one of the most important parts because for me, that's one of my passions to help other people feel safe and secure. Um, and I think this project was definitely able to achieve that flag system is the different types of passions is public speaking because always been a great fan of public speaking. I've done speech and debate, mock trial, and a variety of other uh, endeavors. So as a result, this has allowed me to connect more to my project because I was happy about doing this project and I was happy about being able to give all of these big presentations to PTA members, to school presidents, and principals, to larger groups of students who were motivated to learn more about crossing safety. So for me, that was one of the most gratifying aspects of my project because I was able to do something that I love, which was public speaking, while also making a great impact on our society and giving back to my schools. Yeah, so definitely one thing, if I could change about my project that I would change is the mode in which I gave my presentation. So due to COVID, a lot of my presentations have been virtual, and some of them that I'm still doing are virtual. So I think the type of interaction that I want with my audience is kind of minimized now that everything's on it connects with you more personal of a connection as I could have were this to be in person. So I think if there would be anything that I could improve about my project, it would be the mode in which I'm giving my presentations. And I think one way I actually could go about doing areas, for instance, maybe a school parking lot where I could have students like seated 6 feet apart. And although that would kind of limit how many students are attending the presentations due to the safety concerns, I think it would overall be beneficial in helping students kind of get to know each other, which is also an essential part of any type of class because students will only really take what they're learning to heart if they're able to feel kind of welcome some aspects of that idea away. But I think, yeah, that would be definitely one of the aspects of my project that I would like to work on improving.